All right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Witches and Warlocks. I was about to say Galactic Honey. Witches and Warlocks. I am Galactic Honey,
And I'm the Black Fit Witch.
and today we are here to bring you high frequencies, of course, and to also talk about patience versus surrender in the cosmic partnership. So, Dina, do you have anything you want to say first?
No, you go ahead. You can. I'll flow in with it.
Okay. So not only dealing with this recently, dealing with both ends, um, I want to talk about I like to talk about surrender because I do that way better. Patience is not really I have patience, I've learned patience, but I'm very impatient while I'm being patient, if that makes sense. Um, but um, in my experience with dealing with patients in the cosmic partnership, we first want to talk about this topic because it's so important and it helps you um, really dial into what is going on around you versus reacting to what is going on around you. In my experience with patients, um, I have had to be patient while wanting to choke someone. Just but for real though, yeah, I have, I have, but I didn't really know what patience meant, so I went and I looked up the actual spiritual meaning of being patient, and what it says is the ability to endure difficult people and situations without giving into anger or giving up hope. Um, the end part of that is so important about the anger and the giving up of and not giving up hope part. With me, um, it's so easy to get angry. I have been the type of person most of my life where I have been very reactive. I get very defensive when things aren't going my way, or if I am challenged with something, I get very defensive. I get angry about it. And the thing about that anger is that it lingers. It doesn't go away until you learn to let it go. Well, practicing patience helped me to not get to the point of where I get angry. Is looking at the situation and really analyzing it, listening to the person, um not saying that everything that they're saying is correct, or even the situation, not saying that the situation is wrong or right, but true enough, we don't have to like what is going on. Sorry if y'all can hear my children, but we don't have to like what's going on, but it serves us to be in full control of our emotions, and to not look at things as if everything is happening to us, like, in a victim mentality, so to speak. So, patience for me is really paying attention to what is serving me. It doesn't serve me to get angry, and it doesn't serve me to lose hope on everything that I have built up so far. Regardless if that's a relationship or a situation, it doesn't serve me to give out that type of energy, because you have to realize too, once you give that energy out, that energy is going to come back to you, and so you're going to have an even bigger situation than you had before. Versus being Patience requires for me to be silent. um I sometimes have to really get quiet and get silent to really integrate what a person is trying to tell me or saying to me, and versus me reacting to what they're saying or what have you. But so what I have learned from patience is that it serves me way better. Once I get reactive, I go from 0 to 100. So it's like there's no in between. So now that when I'm staying at 0, I'm neutral. I can be okay. I can take it. I'm okay. But once I hit 100, I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't want to talk about the situation no more. I don't want to be in the situation no more. I'm just out of it completely. So I had to learn that high frequencies, master creator. I had to learn that patience is a virtue. And a lot of times, a lot of times when you are met with situations where you have to be the patient, you met with delays or anything like that, you are it's basically divine intervention and happening in some type of way. That's the most important reason why what I've learned from now is not to react, because sometimes if you think about things and what is happening and what the person is saying, you're thinking, oh, they're attacking me, they're, this is um they are like um judging me, or you thinking that something is happening to you when really it's something happening for you. And I've been in enough situations to be patient to learn that, okay, this is happening for me. So now when I met with having to be patient with a person, patient with a situation, patient with my children, I learned that everything that is happening for me in some type of way. And if I look at it like that, if I change the perception of, from victim um to awareness, right? um if I change that perception, what will happen is now the clarity starts to come in. Versus, have y'all ever had an awakening and you feel like it's been a month and you're still in the middle of this awakening? Okay, so that's that right there has taught me, either you can be patient through this awakening, and I speak specifically on awakenings because I'm in the middle of one right now, but I can be patient and allow this awakening to teach me what it's trying to teach me, or allow the divine intervention to happen, or I can resist and I can stay and I can fight, and I can just keep on hitting that brick wall until I finally surrender. Or, that's the next stage of it, like surrendering to the process. Um, so through patience, I learned how to surrender. Now, when I look at surrender on surrendering is my favorite thing to do now. Like it's my favorite. Like, I don't have to deal with this. I'm giving it away. Like, that's how my thing is with surrender. Surrendering to that higher power. And not giving my power away in the process. Patience taught me how to not give away my power. Surrendering teaches me how to keep how to keep control over my emotions and over my, because you could be in the middle of something and you want to react so bad, or you just want to state your case, or you just want to have the last word, or you just have to interact in some type of way. Surrender has taught me, like, okay, if I'm faced with a situation, I can just give it away. Now it's not mine. I'm giving it back to the divine so it can be cleaned up, purified, and then brought back to me within clarity. Um, versus being patient, having to just kind of sit in that energy and kind of having to integrate everything that is going on. With surrender, I just give it up. Like, okay, There's no integration happening with me. I'm just giving it up. Like, okay, here you go. And I just like how I do that is I literally picture one of somebody from my spiritual team. I don't know who it be, but they just literally I picture their hands coming out and I just give it to them. Like I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm really I don't want to react to it. So I'm giving it away so that I don't give unnecessary energy to things that are not serving me in the moment, because it's for the in that moment. That's a moment that you can never get back. After you react, you can never get that moment back. So um I can call my power back all day, but I'm still gonna sit there and be thinking like, dang, I should have said this, or I should have did this, or I shouldn't have done that. I really shouldn't have given all those emotions to the situation. It'll just be a lingering fact, and that's where surrender comes in for me. Because after when I start having those doubting feelings, or if I start feeling like, okay, I failed this, I gave it all that energy, I failed this, and then I just be like, okay, no, I surrender. I surrender. I'm really surrendering to the lesson of what I'm being taught in the moment,
Mhm.
in that situation, what that situation is really teaching me. I'm surrendering to that versus surrendering to the person and what they're saying and all of those things. Um, I'm not giving them that much power. I'm just standing in my power and giving that to the divine and asking for, okay, what is the lesson? What am I being taught here?
And so, yeah. When it comes down, how I see it, because cosmic partnerships can be a roller coaster ride. It's not something, and we've stated this before, that we're used to having in previous relationships. If you're with your cosmic and divine partner, you'll know, because one of those things that kicks in for the other person is patience. Patience becomes, for me, like a reflection of self. So
Mhm.
it was less of what's going on within the relationship and more so of I have to have patience with myself in order to be able to interact with my divine partner. And this goes for anybody. This can even be like for children.
Mhm.
It's a reflection. You know what I'm saying? Like you may get upset with your child based on what they do in the moment. And then if when you're of a higher frequency and and you're matured and you have more wisdom in your spiritual walk, you know that they're only working with the level of consciousness that they have. So it creates a patience within you. It's almost
Mhm.
like it's reflective. Like you can almost see, like, I remember when I was that, like, and your partner can be like, my partner's older than me. It doesn't matter. You just see where they are with the level of consciousness that they're on, and then it offers in grace as well, which issues patience. And so, going back to the reflective part, I say it's reflective because I look within me. So I'm just like, I'm not perfect. We even had a conversation one time before, and he said, "You always telling me, what you upset about." He said, "And I never want to change anything about you." And so when he said that, I kind of became reflective because I was like, okay, with me not having patience, with me knowing the level of consciousness that he's on, that's also showing up to myself how I'm being immature. I'm being
Mhm.
immature is not being acceptive and accepting someone based on where they are at that point and then helping them on their journey. So I went back within, and when he made that comment, it helped me grow because I was just like, I have to have patience. Everything isn't delivered when you want it. The universe doesn't deliver when you want it. Even when we talk about people who are looking for awakenings, or you may hear when you first start your journey, Kundalini awakening and things to raise your Kundalini energy up and to open your third eye. And there'll be third eye meditations out everywhere and woo 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 what you need to do. And it's always stated that you don't want to raise your energy faster than it's supposed to. Like that
Exactly.
requires patience. Like you're
Mhm.
not supposed to. Everybody has a time in which everything is destined for things to happen. And if you're
Mhm.
doing the work, you have to be very patient in your spiritual practice. You
Yeah.
know, you have to be extremely patient with yourself. Like all your chakras ain't gonna light up. Your kundalini energy not gonna light up. You may not have a third. I remember when I was doing my yoni breathing exercises when I first started my tantra practices was my teacher Tafari, and he was, you know, we was going through a part, and I, you know, he was like, "Open your third eye. What do you see?" You know, and I was like, "I don't see nothing." You know? I was like, what? I was supposed to see something. But I noticed that my awakening and my third eye visions comes alive in my dream realm. I'm not like everybody else. So I had to see it and understand it and allow that time for me to grow up as a spiritual being in this realm. So I have to allow that same thing for my partner.
Mhm.
Like that's where the patience comes in. Like if you become patient with yourself in this spiritual journey, you can't help but reflect that and give that same energy to your divine partner, whether it's your child, whether
Yes.
it's your romantic partner, whether it's your mother, your father, whoever it is. You know, you can't help but see that, man, that's where they are right now. And because of the love that you have, it's like I can't help but be patient with them, which,
Mhm.
like you said, goes right into surrender. One of the things I used to say, I think it was maybe in 2020 came to me was I release all control into the hands of the universe. And so
Mhm.
I used to take myself to sleep saying that I release all control in the hands of the universe. I release all control into the hands of the universe because I'm used to controlling things, or I'm used to things going my way. And if
Mhm.
things didn't go my way, then I'm creating this frequency around me.
Yes.
I'm creating this auric field around me that's not a balanced vibration.
Yeah.
So even though I'm looking for things to happen a certain way, if I'm in a state of chaos because I want to be in control, yet the
Mhm.
universe and the higher self controls all, then I'm out of alignment. So I didn't understand how things were just coming at me and things weren't going the way I want to. But when I just was in meditation and falling asleep was I released all control into the hands of the universe. It took the power away from me and it became a state of surrender.
Mhm.
So it was like, I'm giving it over. You know,
Yeah.
it's not within me. I'm patient within myself. I have to be patient within the process. I have to be patient within this relationship. So I'm
Yeah.
surrendering. I'm releasing that control. I'm giving it up. And so in the cosmic partnership, being that, you know, within mine at this time, it's a romantic state, that with my partner, I am patient with his process. And I
Yeah.
had to learn to draw back and allow him to grow and
Yeah.
allow him to be able to communicate and love and share and open up and do those things. Because sometimes when I'm needy, when I'm wanting, that closes doors
Yeah.
per
It
se.
overwhelms them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, you too much. I'd rather block because I know even for me, when people doing all that, I'm like, it's like wah. I close off. So for them, it closes off. But if I'm patient and I'm allowing, I back off. I'm allowing you to lead. I'm
Mhm.
allowing you to take the reins. Let me see where this goes. I'm patient. I'm just gonna sit here like a queen on the throne, and I'm gonna be patient because I've already surrendered. So at this
Mhm.
point, I already know that I'm destined for things to go the way that they should go, and I know that road is gonna be smooth because I'm in alignment at this point.
Yeah.
So when you do the patience and surrender, that's equal to alignment within the path that the universe has set up for the partnership for growth on your end and growth
Yeah.
on your partner's end.
Yeah. I like what you said about the control, like when you try to have the control over everything. Um, as a single mother, I think that I just took on, and not only that, but as the firstborn child, I took care of my brothers and sisters. So I had a lot of control issues coming into my spiritual journey. Not even knowing that I always wanted to be in control because I've always had to be in control. Not even knowing that that program was running.
Hmm.
So for me, the being in a space now to where I can actually surrender that control, and I don't have to do it all by myself. It gives me like relief. It lifts up burdens up off of me, because those those all of those situations can be so heavy, and it will weigh you down to the point where
Mhm.
you just like, okay, I have to put my hands on it. And I used to feel like I got the, if I don't do it, it ain't gonna get done right. If I don't, if I don't put my hand here, if I don't say this one thing, it's gonna, they're not gonna get what I'm saying. But not understanding that that was all about me being in control of the situation, which had already proven to not serve me in previous
Mm.
situations. So once I got to the point of surrendering, um, and you also, when you are surrendering, you also, it requires a level of patience from you, like you said, to allow and trust the divine to do the work that it's doing for you. The fact that I had to take my hands off of stuff at first, I'll be like, what is surrender? What do they mean by surrender? What am I surrendering to? Like, what do they mean by that? Um, and I later on down the line, I started to learn, because I feel like you come into certain information when you hit certain landmarks or certain, certain goals in your spiritual journey. You come into certain information according to what you can actually intake at the moment. So I had to go through a lot of experiences with surrender. I'm a very hands-on person, so it made me feel handicapped, almost like I was giving away, like I was taking my power from me and giving it away to the divine, for the divine to handle it. And I'm just like, I was thinking, like, I was so naive. I was thinking like, okay, well, they probably was tired of me surrendering all my stuff to them. Like, like I can't just be sitting here and not have no form of control. Like to just take my hands off of the wheel and allow, it's like having that, the car that drives itself, kind of like that. It's
Mhm.
like, at first I believed that if I got into that car and it started driving itself, I would still want to put my hands on the wheel as a form of, like security, like to, in order to help myself feel secure in the car. But the car is completely made to drive by itself, to know where it's going, to know where you're going.
Mhm.
So it took me a lot of experiences, and still I go through experiences with release and control, way more experiences with surrender in the past year. um when my mom passed, dealing with giving myself grace with that, I learned patience. I learned how, what real patience was, watching my mom go through um her journey before she transitioned. So while she was transitioning, I learned a lot about that, because she had to literally sit there knowing that she was gonna pass. And I'd like the amount of patience that she had. She didn't complain. She didn't, what I'm saying, all of those things. It made me really sit back and think like, dang, okay, I might be patient, but I do a lot of complaining when I'm patient. Like when I'm called myself being patient, I do a lot of, like, she completely trusted that God was gonna handle it, and God was gonna, she knew that she was gonna be going to her home in the sky. She's Baptist, so she had complete faith and she had complete trust, even though this came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? This was just something that came out of left field, and everything just went fast from that point. So I learned through that how she gave herself grace throughout that process, and how also um and how also um can you get away from my door? You're gonna have to wait until I'm done. Sorry. But um how she had to have patience, and how my daddy had to have a level of patience. My mother and my father were cosmic partners. Um, they were divine partners, spiritual partnership. They were all of those things. So watching them have to have patience in a situation that required them to have complete surrender, something that there was nothing that we could do. We couldn't change the outcome of what was going on. So my daddy, I had to watch him be patient with the process. He even wanted to be hands on. He's in fully in his masculine energy, so he wanted like, it's something I got to do. I got to do something. I got to do something.
Mhm.
But with my mother was so calm, and so she never cried one day throughout the process. Like, she was so calm and so, so trusting of the divine. She was in complete surrender. And my daddy, which eventually he had to in alignment with what she was how she was at that moment, and he had to become in complete surrender. So through that situation, they gained, as cosmic partners, they gained a lot of um they had to gain a lot of patience that they wasn't used to. When my dad's mom passed, she passed kind of from the same thing my mama passed. He was out away at school, so he didn't see the process. So his first time actually seeing that process was through his cosmic partner. And knowing what I know now, I wish I would have, like, because even I wanted to, grab the reins and be like, okay, there's definitely something I can do to help you heal. Like, there's got to be something. But I had to learn through that process on how to fully surrender and trust the divine, that divine knew what it was doing, and she knew what the divine was doing. And I had to um, get in alignment with her assignment in that moment, in that time that we had with her. And so it brought me to now that I'm in a cosmic partnership. um at that time, me and my cosmic partner we were not together. And I had kind of pushed him away because my mother was sick, and so he gave me that grace. During that time, he had to be patient with me in that time. So even though he wanted to start a relationship at that time, and I wasn't for the in and out and having to deal with him and having to deal with my mama. So I was just like, no, we're not gonna do that. I'm just gonna, close the door and let me do this right here. I had to focus on my mother. So coming out of that, after she passed, it brought us back together, because I had to end up telling them, like, my mama passed, because I needed my support system as well, during that time. And so I had to think about, he's given me patience in so many different situations where I thought I was perfect, and I thought I was doing this, and I thought I was just doing my own thing. He has been patient with me throughout this process. And so I would notice that when certain things would happen, I would have a level of patience, but I still wanted to have a level of control when it came to him. And so certain things that I would do would like counteract the whole being patient process. It also, at the time, I thought I knew what surrendering was. So I was surrendering, but I had no trust at all. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I surrender, but then I'm still tap this, and I'm still put my hand here, and I'm still say this. You know what I'm saying? And so it came to the point where through through our certain reactions, I had to go back, like you said, reflect on the times that he has given me patience, and the time where there was nothing he could do about, even though, I was getting all the signs that he wanted to be near me, all those things. There was nothing that he could do about that at that time. So he was even at a level of surrender. And so I had to think back, like, okay, he's given me this grace before. Okay, there's certain, he don't got all his stuff together. I have to give him that same grace, like you said, with the level of where he is in this moment. Like, he doesn't, there's some things that I have to have patience with, because he doesn't, he my masculine is awake, but he is not awakened to his full power yet. So, and honestly, there's some things about spirituality. He believes in a higher power, but he does not believe in manifestation like that because he doesn't know. He only has a certain level of awareness when it comes to spiritual journey, um, um, the spiritual process, just all of these, anything spiritual. When it comes now, I have seen him spiritually do a lot of things through, his higher self. I've seen him do a lot of things that he doesn't even know he's a warlock, if you ask me. He thinks that he just says he calls it worked in his magic, right? But I've seen him do a lot of things spiritually that he is not even aware of. And so I could tell him all of those things, but he's not going to understand it because he doesn't have that level of awareness. So it requires me to have a level of patience with him through his process and through his spiritual journey, because I can't step on his journey no matter how much I want to, inform him of the things that I see, especially the spiritual signs and synchronicities. Like I'll share like when I see his name or stuff like that, but I only go so far because I know he only has a certain level of awareness when it comes to the spiritual side of things. And so the level of patience that it required for me to sit there and hear somebody say, well, what is this doing for you, and what is this, how is this helping you? In the moment I couldn't tell him. I was just like, I couldn't do nothing but look at him because everything came out of left field, right? And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to be a part of his journey, my lesson in that was, okay, I have to be able to explain to him what spirituality is. I have to be able to explain to him why I do what I do. What is the reasoning behind what I do? Like, he's a Virgo, he wants receipts. You know what I'm saying? And so that also required a level of patience from me and surrender, because I'm like, I feel like, I don't know how you feel like, okay, you should know this, or you feel like you want me to describe something like right now in this right now moment, and I didn't have the answers. And so it made me reflect back on myself, like, okay, I have to be able to do these things when he's asking for the information. The fact that he even asked for the information, I need to be able to be like, okay, it should roll off of my tongue because I've been doing this too long, right? But I realize that I sometimes get a little shell shocked in the moment when I'm asked certain things. I will feel like I know the answer, but it's like my mind will just completely go blank. So the fact that he is not awakened to his spiritual divinity also plays a part on whether or not I'm able to explain to him what I am going through on a spiritual journey, why I'm on a spiritual journey. Yes, I'm here to go within, but he needs the receipts on what are you doing this for. He only has a certain level of perception to be able to understand what he's seeing. You know what I'm saying? So that required a level of patience, not just from me, but on his end too, because he's like, okay, you sitting up here and you telling me all this good stuff, but you're not telling me why you're doing it. You're not telling me this. So even on his end, it had a level of patience that had to be um
Yeah, because men are, like I said before, men are logical, and men like they're visual. They're logical and they're visual. So you have to, like, when you are explaining, it has to be able to be something that they can perceive and it makes sense from the level of consciousness that they're on. So when I have, because I've had conversations with all of his friends, we watching football. And conversation, it'd be about 6 or 7 of them, and conversations come up about biblical scriptures and spirituality and what I believe, and boom, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yes, somebody in this room gonna wake up when I talk, because I'm finna, hey, I'm whether y'all believe it or not, I don't believe there is no God. There is source energy. We are all frequencies. We are
Yeah.
vibratory energies. I believe in a high frequency. Everything vibrates, even this table right here. High vibrate. Well, it's molecules, right? We have molecules that collide together. So everything continues to vibrate and they collide and they come together from higher to lower frequencies. And that's why we're matter. So I end up going there, but I feel like when it comes down, and that comes down to a level of confidence within you being with your mate and be able to explain those things to your mate, because I feel like that comes with that too. If you all start to have those discussions more, you'll be able to talk to him better because you feel like he's not judging you. Because sometimes within those conversations you may feel like there's judgment trying to come into play, not more
That's
so of
exactly what
you
it was.
wanting to know what I'm doing. You're
Yes.
wanting to judge what I'm doing.
And
So
so
that's
it
where
like
it comes.
stops me
Yes, that's where it
completely in my
comes into
track.
like a deer in headlights, because I
Yeah.
know whatever I say is gonna come with some scrutiny to it. So that's where you have to kind of like, I gotta be very careful with my words and what I say, because you're trying to pick apart who I am. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's where that comes into play. But now
Yeah.
when you were talking a few minutes ago, you were talking about your mother, what she was going through, and how you had and how she was patient, and she had just released all control, and she was just confident, and she knew that she was going to heaven to be with the Lord, or whatever. you
Mhm.
know I feel like within that, even within that thought process, what I was hearing, what you were sharing, was like fear had been released.
Yeah.
Even when we try to have control over things and we don't have patience, there's fear involved.
Yeah.
So we have to look at, why am I not able to release control here? Why, if I know the car is driving and it's created to drive and is made for this, it's manufactured to drive, but I still want to control it? What
It's
is the
something
fear
in me. Yeah.
within me
Yeah.
that I'm not seeing, that I
Mhm.
cannot release control? What fear perspectives in my life that I need to release to be
Yeah.
able to allow that to come in and to release that patience? When you was talking, I also thought about the great example for anybody that has done this, that I can relate this to, even if you're not in a partnership, would be the psychedelic journey. So if you've ever done mushrooms, you're going to go through patience and surrender.
Yeah.
You're gonna, some
Especially
people,
DMT.
yeah, you're gonna have to wait. You don't know when it's gonna kick in. You don't know. I tried to, even when I sit for people, I had a lady I was getting ready to sit for 2 weeks ago, and we had the conversation. I was going through what it was. She was highly, she was anxious. So even it's that angst that people may have why they can't be patient, because it's the fear of the unknown. It really what it is. So she
Okay.
didn't know. So was it mushroom?
No, it says the great unknown. That's why I bought it.
See, it's the unknown. There's really the fear
And that's
of the
exactly what it
unknown.
is.
When
Yes.
you don't know what's going to happen, what you're trying, the reason why you can't surrender, the reason why you can't have patience in the relationship, is the fact that if it's not going to go according to what I've perceived in the past, because we can only go off of experiences. We are
Mhm.
textile, memoratory type of beings. So we
Right.
use the memory that we've had, that our frequencies, our eyes, touch, smell, all of these sensories have created from these past relationships. And then we try to bring that over to here and be like, okay, well, this should go this type of way, because if it
Exactly.
go this type of way, then I won't
Right.
feel like this made me feel.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to combat that. So we want to have control over everything, because it's the fear of the unknown. If I don't have control, then things may go like this. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of maybe your reasons when you're within these partnerships and these connections, that releasing it is the best thing for you. Even on your
Yes.
spiritual journey, you can't move forward if you're still in fear of the unknown. In the
Mm.
psychedelic journey, You can't break through if you're in fear and you don't surrender.
It's so
Like
true.
you gotta let
It's
go and just allow. You have to be just like Abraham Hicks says, you have to be in a state of allowing. If you're not
yeah,
in a state of allowing, you are not going to be able to allow this high vibration, high frequency partnership to ascend. And
yeah,
that's really ascension of self. So
yeah,
everything that we talk about in the cosmic partnership on the witches and warlocks in here, these are all pieces of ascension. All
yeah,
of these topics, even last week when we talked about spells and attachments, this week we're talking about patience and surrender. We have other topics that we're going to talk about, but all of it is talking about breaking down these walls that we have to break down in order to ascend. Not
yeah,
only are we trying to ascend self, but guess what? We thinking outside of self because we got somebody else. It's a
yeah,
partner. So this
yeah,
is a higher elevation. You know, the reason why we say this not like other type of relationships because we're not doing this alone. I don't want to send just myself. You know, I shared that with my partner. You know, this is more than just about woo woo woo. Like I care about your frequency and what's
yeah,
going to happen after this and where you are, in your mind and your spirit and your soul and your incarnation into the next realm and where you're going to ascend to. So all of this is a part of it. So in my mind,
yeah,
no what's right or wrong. I don't believe there's a right or wrong, but I
right,
feel like those of us who are in these connections, whether you're in a marital frequency with your cosmic partner or you're in a spiritual partnership or divine connection, that you are thinking outside of yourself. You
yeah,
had enough to say, hey, I'm connected to this person. It's something about this person's energy. It ain't even really about what he or she looks like. It's
mhm,
not really about what they do, but it's something about that energy that I'm connected
yeah,
to. And I feel like it's something that I have to do with this person. Like you'll
yeah,
feel like this is an assignment. So
yeah.
that
It's
assignment
work.
is for
Yeah, it's a
self,
job.
and that assignment is for that other person to elevate. And the patience and surrender is a part that you have to go through. It's
Yeah,
not will I, won't I? It's like you have to go through this. This is a part of the connection in order for you to ascend. Like you're gonna stay at a certain level until you release this. And if you don't do it willingly, just like
and you
anything
stay in
else in life,
separation.
you
Hmm.
gonna have it the easy way or you want it the hard way. You know what I'm saying? How you want this lesson? Do you want this as an easy lesson or do you want this as a hard lesson?
Yeah, and that is so true. I see videos where women are talking about, feminine energy, about marrying up, about hypergamy and all of these things. All of us are not in that, even though, of course we want the best out of life. This spiritual partnership is way different. Your partner might not start off having all of, you know, their stuff together. Your partner might not, they might look like they have their stuff together, but then they don't. Like in the cosmic partnership, what I've learned is that you are growing together, even if you are growing at different speeds and different levels, you are growing together. This partnership is meant for you to become your greatest and best version of yourself. I didn't grow up with a woman that told me how to, you know how to be in relationships, how to choose men, how to do all of those things. A lot of like my mama, she and my daddy, they met in college. They have the same birthday. They're just born a year apart. And the tools that she used with my daddy, she used to say, like, I didn't even pay him no attention. I didn't even know he liked me until his friends started telling me. And I used to think like when I got older, that's when she started being like, you got to do this, and you can't be like this, and you got to. And I was like, Mama, why you didn't teach me this before I got married? Like, why you why I didn't know this growing up? So I didn't have a woman to tell me how to be in partnership and how to, choose a partner and all of those things. All of my partners have been a life experience that I've had, that I've had to grow from and grow through. But when I came into the contact with my cosmic partner, it was like, it was almost like we had the same lessons, but they were dealt differently and on different stages or different years throughout our lives. Um, we have we have some of the same similar situations happen, but it might happen opposite. So he's younger than me, but he lost his dad when he was in high school, when he was in middle school. I lost my mama when I was grown. You get what I'm saying? So there's different ways of different experience, same experience, but at different times that we've had to go through. And um even with me being on my spiritual journey, I tell him all the time, like, you kind of kicked off my spiritual journey, because before this I didn't know nothing about spirituality. I had to go and find information to, just to give me some type of clarity on what was going on. Why am I so connected to this person? Why do I feel like, like he's supposed to be a part of my life? Like, why do I feel like I already know who he is, even though I've never met this man a day in my life? So I had to sometimes when I would try to explain that to him, he'll be like, when I told him that we had past lives together, he was like, past lives? He was like, what? But that, in the way he reacted to it, let me know that there was something that he was needing clarity on too. You know what I'm saying? So we've been on this kind of like, we sometimes we'll kind of be at the same frequency, but then there's sometimes where I have to realize and I have to be patient that he has not done the work that I have done on myself in order for me to um explain certain things to him. um there's certain things about our partnership that he doesn't know about, and that in itself requires me to have a lot of patience and a lot of surrender throughout this process, because this is a process. um and he is learning, even though he's not learning in the same way as I am. He's learning, and he's learning that at least he thinks that, at least he knows that there is a higher power. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if he doesn't know what higher power, or he at least believes that there is a higher power. And so I have to a lot of times go in and thank his guides, thank his higher self, for, leading and guiding him in the way that he goes. And I even go in and I thank his ancestors just for just how far he's come. Um, because I was getting a little lost back, you can start to lose patience, like, okay, this, like, you should at least know something about your spiritual journey. He doesn't even recognize that he knows he's on a journey, but he does not recognize that it's a spiritual journey to go within. He'll just say things like, I listen to myself. Like, I've listened to myself. Yeah, I asked myself a question and I listened to myself. Well, that's him listening to his intuition. He just explains it and he's going through it in a different way than what I've learned to go through it. And just like I didn't have anybody to help me with my spiritual journey when I started this. Not even like, even though I had come into cosmic partnership, I just still didn't understand what was going on, what this was, why he was walking into my dreams, why it was I've been married for 12 years and had never had any of these experiences to happen. So that also required a level of patience, because from my point of view, I was out there by myself. Like, I'm learning how to do this through YouTube. Like, he was even asking me, he's like, what do YouTube teach you? He just thinks that YouTube is just a place for people to tell lies, you know what I'm saying? And put their lives on, he thinks it like it's a form of, like, social media, which it is, but he looks at it in a completely different way. He doesn't go to YouTube to get help on anything. Like he listens to himself. He's had to learn to do that because of the way he was raised and the certain experiences that he's been in. So I also had to have a level of patience with that, because if you come in and you see somebody always watching YouTube, you start to think that, okay, you're being brainwashed by YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And so that in itself also required a lot of patience and surrender, that because I started to think like, okay, this this must ain't working. Like this, like
Mhm.
we not. I feel, you know how you'll feel like you're supposed to be further than what you are, and I even was impatient with myself. I always would think like I'm supposed to be further than what I am. I'm 38. Like I'm supposed to be way more, intuitive and way more in tune with everything that's going on. Like didn't give myself any type of patience, no grace, no nothing. So dealing with the cosmic partnership, I learned how to be more, give myself more grace, because I have to also give him the same grace that I give myself, um when it comes to even being on a spiritual journey in general. Like he goes within, but he doesn't go within like I go within, like through meditation and through, the different modalities or tools that I use to go within myself, even sitting quiet with myself. I sit in silence. He got to get up and move. Like he can't be silent for too long or he'll be asleep. You know what I'm saying? Because he moves around so much. He doesn't really sit down and listen to himself unless he's asking himself a question. So learning how to deal with that has been challenging, but it also is um helping me in a way to still be um that supportive partner to him on his journey, because you will get the signs that they are transforming and they are ascending. Butterflies was our main thing. Like one day he walked in here, he had butterflies on his jeans, and I was like, I ain't never seen you wearing no butterflies on your jeans. Like, where did this come from? But I had been seeing butterflies like constantly, constantly, constantly. And so that was just like a message from his higher self that he is in transformation. It just doesn't look like what you want it to look like, you know, and it required me to have a level of patience and surrender throughout our process.
Master Creator asks, how do we know we are truly in a cosmic partnership? And can you have multiple cosmic partnerships? So I want to say you have to know you are truly in a cosmic partnership depending upon the level of consciousness and where you are in your spiritual walk with yourself. Self first.
Yeah.
Okay. Like we used to talk in my other covenant I was in, it was like self first, but not self only. So
Yeah.
it's not just about the partnership, it's about where you are with self, if you're in alignment and if you're at a point within your life's journey where you are open to bringing someone else in to share this journey and help each other ascend. Then you'll start to have various states of awareness that this person is a partner. It may be running into each other, like within mine, we ran into each other 3 times, and it just was like, okay, you may have like a flash into their soul, like you look at them in their eyes and you like, it was just something magnetic. You didn't even know why you were so drawn to this individual. Has nothing to do with the physical form, but it was more so of an inward draw. When you're on a spiritual walk and a higher spiritual walk, you'll understand that it's beyond the lower chakras. Like it's not something that's just coming from a lust or something that's coming from a sexual nature. Like it's a higher form of why you're drawn to this person, why you're drawn to this cosmic partner. Then you ask, can you have multiple cosmic partnership? Yes. Cosmic partnerships are not just romantic in nature. When we talk about divine partnerships, cosmic partnerships, like we stated before, I know Galactic Honey even stated before, it could be a foster child and a foster parent. It could be your child, it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your husband, it could be your wife. Cosmic partnerships comes in various states. If you're a mother and when you got your baby came out and you just looked at that baby and you just felt like something was drawn to you in that baby, like you all had this connection like no other. I've met mothers and daughters who have this connection with their mothers, and the daughters have that connection with their mothers that is like it's unbreakable. It's this bond that they do everything together. They love on each other. They they have all kind of. I've never had that, but anyway, they have this unbreakable bond and this unbreakable connection that, and my son had it with my mother before she passed. Like he's an introvert, he doesn't talk to anybody, but with my mother, he would sit and have conversation for hours. And my dad would be like, "He don't talk. I done picked him up from school, and he ain't said nothing. He get here with her, he just telling everything, just talking." That was a cosmic partnership. That was a connection that they had, and it was unexplainable to anybody else. So one of those things, and this is just what I feel based on what is being shared with me spiritually right now, is cosmic partnership, and yes, it can be multiple cosmic partnerships.
Yeah, for me, everything you said is basically how I see it too. Um, but for me and my partner had never run into each other before. But the thing that's significant that stuck out is that I worked with his brother for over 5 years and never knew that his brother had a little brother. Um, it came like I would have multiple encounters with his higher self, to the point where I would be like, when I was on the twin flame journey, I would be like, this is not my twin, like this is not my twin, like, because I would think that I was always being duped or fooled in some type of way, like, like being gullible or something like that. I had my own fears to work out before I recognized that it was actually a cosmic partnership. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I actually understood that. I'm like, oh, okay, this really is the real thing. Um, it also came with a series of lessons that we were learning together. Anytime that it was time for me to learn a lesson, um, and I could only speak from my point of view. When it was time for me to learn a lesson or to it would always hit in a way that it's never hit before. It would come with an awakening. It came with more than just, feelings and butterflies and all of those things that you experience with a soulmate relationship. It came with much more, it held more weight, if that makes sense, to my spiritual growth. Theory. Um, it held more weight, when it came to my spiritual journey and how I was becoming the woman I am right now. Um, and for me, you can get signs. I never saw my ex-husband's name anywhere. I never experienced being on the street with his name on it, looking at the exit with his name on it. There's certain things that I never experienced in that relationship that made me like open my eyes up to, okay, this has to be something more. This can't be normal. It's not normal for me to be living in Memphis and then traveling to Texas and then seeing his name on the exit. We were able to do things like he was able to come and he could pull me into the spiritual realm, and like I could just be laying there, and all of a sudden now I'm in a vision and I'm in a spiritual realm and I'm talking to him. Not maybe I couldn't hear what he's saying, but the feeling that I'm getting, I'm knowing what he's saying in that realm. Um, there was just certain things that happened that had never happened before that made me pay attention. It made me be like, okay, this is something that I need to figure out what it is. Like, I never been in a situation to where I was like, okay, this is something more than this 3D realm.
Mhm.
Once I got with my cousin, once we even encountered each other, we were like magnets. We had to always, it was like, even when we were separated, there was some type of pull or magnetic pull that was keeping us in, like, in tune with each other. I had never had that happen before. I had 5 kids by my ex-husband. Never has happened before. Only thing that I knew is that I knew that he was I knew he was out there somewhere. I don't know how I knew. I don't know how. I just have always known that there was something else. Like, there is something else that I'm supposed to be doing. Even while I was in my marriage, at the end of my marriage, once it was coming up time for me to release my marriage, I had a dream that I believed that he was in the dream, but I cannot remember the dream at all. I just knew that the life that I was living right then was not my life. It was just like, this is not my life. And after going through that and feeling confused and being like, okay, how can I just know that this is not the life, that I'm living the wrong life? I feel like I visited a timeline where we were on that timeline or something like that. Then when we came into contact with each other, it was like he knew me. Like, he didn't come up to me like, Mel, what's up? You know what I'm saying? I want to get to know you. What's your name? Like, what's that? He came and he stood beside me like, what's up? I'm here. Where you, like, we've been looking for each other, like, where you at? You know what I'm saying? So it was much different than what I experienced in other partnerships. I have even seen similarities in my children, if that makes sense to you. I have never said this out in public, but I have even seen similarities to him in my children. Not saying that, I'm married. Okay, I got artificially inseminated by Jesus, by the Lord. What I'm saying is that cosmic partnership goes so deep to where it's like an onion with layers, but it's an onion in an onion with more layers. It's like so many layers and so many things. I know for a fact that I have been his mother. I know for a fact that he's been my father before. There's just certain things. It's like a level of knowing that you will receive once you actually open up to this actually being your partner. Like, you will have a lot of speed. It can't be 3D. Like, if you are the awake one, everything is gonna just be so spiritual regarding this whole partnership. Even with how you perceive them, you like it's gonna you can't why you would understand it. It's like what you see in the 3D is not really who, but you know who that person is. It's like, I know you, I know exactly, like, I know that you used to be my daddy. Like, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wanna it's certain things, it's a level of awareness that you will start to pick up on, and you will start to like be, and you can even ask for signs. Um Ask for a sign. Like, show me that this is my cosmic partner. Show me who this is to me. And you will start to see, like, there are certain synchronicities that'll start to come up, and you will be like, oh, okay, okay. And then you will start to go down memory lane. Like, I went down memory lane. Like, I would have past life dreams of us together. um like, it goes on and on. We can just walk in and out of dimensions on some of these dreams. Like, we just literally walking from scene to scene to scene to scene. Like, it's a certain level of that this connection brings. It's a certain level of power this connection brings to you that you never experience with anybody else. And to have multiple cosmic partners, well, you have a cosmic family. So all of your cosmic family are playing roles. They are all playing roles within your life, especially if you are connected to the cosmos in any type of way. You start seeing whatever you feel like you are or who you are. If you feel like you have a cosmic family, 9 times out of 10, most of your cosmic family in the ethers is playing out these roles around you, as your friends, as people that you just meet on the street, the homeless man at the stove. They could be playing all types of roles around you, because remember, this is your movie and they helping you to ascend in any way that they can. So not only are you and your cosmic partner, you know, been a lot of things to each other, play different roles in each other's lives, you also have a cosmic family that's doing the same thing. They could also be playing the enemy in your life as well. The mother that you didn't have a close relationship with, the father that abandoned you. I'm talking about, it can go on and on and on. It goes so deep when we talk about cosmic partnership, because when you talk about the cosmic partnership, it's not just really about, it is about mostly you and your cosmic partner, but you have cosmic partners. So, they're all playing roles. We all playing roles to each other. Me and Dina could be cosmic partners, and we could be cosmic family. You just never know.
Yeah, when you
But you,
talk about the
you
cosmic
feel
partner, that's what it is in a cosmic partner. Now, if you
it.
talk it for me, I look at them different. For me, if you're talking about spiritual partnerships, the spiritual partnerships is different. That's more on the romantic side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's more of the relationship that's evolving. Just like I was
Yeah,
telling you all about that last week when we talked about spells and attachments. Like the spiritual partnership can be evolving, because see, the goal of the spiritual partnership is to evolve both partners, and you can evolve out of the spiritual partnership if
mm-hmm.
it's not evolving. So if you feel like that partner is not evolving and you've evolved out of that relationship, you be free to release yourself to continue to evolve out of that relationship, uh, throughout your whole spiritual journey. You may be with somebody else, may not, who knows. Same thing with the individual. If they evolve outside of that partnership, then they can. You're free. It's no binding thing where, yes, you'll know this is your spiritual partner during that time. But I also feel like we are constantly evolving, we're constantly
Yeah.
ascending. If you aren't evolving, or you're not ascending, or someone is stagnant, or someone is refusing, or someone hasn't utilized patience and surrender, then they'll get to a point of stagnation. And when they're stagnant within their energy and they're refusing, they're rigid and they don't want to evolve, then one of the partners can evolve out. Like I was telling you about Gary Zukav in The Seat of the Soul. So he
Mm-hmm.
goes deep into the evolution of the spiritual partnership. So I look at spiritual partnerships and cosmic partnerships
Yeah,
differently.
they are different. They are. I feel like the spiritual partnership, like you said, is the evolved. That's when you get to the romantic end of it, and you get to actually like enjoy each other without
Mhm.
um like you both are kind of like vibrating at the same level. You are able to enjoy each other in a way without all of the lessons that come back to back to back. I kind of feel like that. But multiple partners in the cosmic partnership, I believe it can happen. Like I know somebody that she says that most of her relationships have been spiritual. They have been like high level, where she feels like she has multiple, she calls it twin flames, but she feels like she has multiple twin flames, and they all like that, they all around her. Is she wrong? I don't know. There is no wrong and no right. So there are people that feel like they have experienced multiple cosmic partners. um I have not. I have not, but I do believe that my whole family, on my mom and my dad's side, I believe that we all are the same bloodline. Do believe that we all are like cosmic family, because my whole family is filled with, I used to say they all are twin flames. They all are in, even when you look at them, they almost look alike. They look so much alike with their partner. Um, um, and this is on both ends. Even the ones that are divorced, they're still best friends. Like they still are close. Their connection is still there. And it's not the children that's keeping them close. It's literally they have learned how to be divorced, be with other people, and still keep a connection going with each other. Um and there is some divine things that has happened through both sides of my family that lets me know that this, like, I really feel like I'm in a family with most of my cosmic family. Like we all have been, they all are in union with their cosmic partners or have been in union with their cosmic partners. So I don't know. I don't know if we've all been something different to each other. My son, he said that, him and his brother, they're twins. They've been twins before. So, and now I see the lessons that they learn from each other, like through each other, is um learning how to, like, I could tell when they were twin brothers that they didn't really get along with each other. They were different ends of of the spectrum. And now that one is older and the other one is the youngest baby boy, um, I see why they didn't get along. I think like they were in so much competition with each other. So I don't know. Like I don't put a cap on none of this. Is the limit is like there is no limit to what is possible when it comes to cosmic partnership because it's an ever unfolding onion. It just keeps
Exactly.
on unfolding. It just keeps on. So it's very much possible.
Yeah. It's very much possible. And you'll just know, like you said, you'll just know.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, and I feel like you also know, like when it's like when the lessons are done, like when it's like if you ever had to, you know, when it was if it's time for you and your cosmic partner to go separate ways, I kind of feel like it'll be the path of least resistance, honestly, because you have learned so much and done so much. That and these divorces that my auntie, like my cousins or auntie them and uncles have had, no resistance at all. Like no
Hmm.
resistance
Just
with.
let it go.
They
You
just,
just let
they
it go.
just literally let it go, and they go on with their lives and be completely different people. Like, I mean, be with completely different people. So,
And that's how I was in a spiritual partnership before. And the reason why I said it was a spiritual partnership, because he brought me to awareness. Like when
mhm,
I was with him, that's when he was the one that shared with me the movie Down the Rabbit Hole.
mhm,
If anybody have ever seen that, it's kind of like a documentary movie. But we sat and watched that movie together. And it was just, and he put me on just a lot of different, like it was just spiritual stuff. And I didn't know it at the time that I was going through an awakening and he was waking me up. But
mhm,
that's what he was sharing. And so, I was listening to a lot of different stuff and I was like, okay, that's when I end up finding more about the Tao. I end up researching about the Tao. Every night we would watch, and this is when he first came out. What's the guy name that does I can't think of his name. What's the black guy name that got the YouTube really famous YouTube channel? Deep divers.
oh, Ralph Smart.
Ralph Smart. Ralph Smart. This was like 2012.
That's who I started watching.
In 2012, he had me watching Ralph Smart. It's 2012, 2013. Like, I didn't know Ralph Smart. I just was listening to it because he was listening to it. And I didn't know going through this is an awakening part for me. So that listen to Ralph Smart, listen to those videos that he had. He was already a little bit further than I was. Um, just not by much, but he was already kind of woke, but I wasn't. But he had his attachments that he wasn't releasing that kind of like had him stagnant in his journey, which probably why we end up connecting. Because you'll see a reason why you end up connecting to a spiritual partner that you be
Mhm.
like, hey, now it's time to release. Like he had some attachments that he wasn't ready to let go. And I was in a state of my life that I was trying to change and elevate myself. So I really, we both was in these chaotic states. And
Mhm.
so he was the one that came to awareness, like, hey, he just came to me and was like, I just can't do this no more. Da da da. He had a gambling issue and he smoked all day long. And here I'm this health guru, and it just was like, it wasn't
Mhm.
matching. But and I cried and he cried. I remember the night that we broke up, we both cried and held each other. It wasn't no hard feelings.
Mhm.
We just pretty much cried, held each other, and you decided, he was gonna go to the house, I was gonna keep the apartment, and we just, went our separate ways. But it was in that release after I was crying. I remember I was crying. I had clients and I was crying on my client's shoulder and all of this kind of stuff. And it wasn't until I got done with all that crying that I was like, okay, I'm good. Like I end up really having needed to actually see through the fog, right?
Mhm.
So I had to see through what I couldn't see while I was in it. Because sometimes when you're in it, you cannot see until you're
Yeah.
out, and then you
Yeah.
have a full view of what's really going on and what's really wrong with me. I wasn't
Mhm.
putting nothing on him. I was like, what's really
Yeah.
wrong with me that I was allowing this? Like,
Mhm.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
have never allowed this. Like I should have had some type of standards, and this was wrong of me. And so he saw it because he said you deserve better than me. He
Mhm.
said it. And that it was so many things that he said that stuck out in my mind. He said that I deserve better than him. I brought him in my house, let him live with me. He was like, you shouldn't be letting no man stay with you. You should be coming to my house. It was just different things that have always stuck with me that he probably don't even know to this day. It became not only an awakening journey of my spiritual growth and start of that process, but it also was more of an awareness who I am and what I'll accept. And I went from their relationship. I ended up meeting a guy that was woke, and I thought he was the one. That didn't work. Think that was probably a soulmate or another spiritual partnership. But we was elevating, and he was on a higher frequency too. And I was like, okay, I ain't never talked to no dudes that talk like this. But it didn't work out. Then I
Mhm.
ended up meeting another guy. He was into the same things I was into. Like I'm thinking, like I'm gonna connect with somebody, and please get that out of your head. You may not always connect with somebody who's on the same frequency as you are. So I had to get that out of my head too, because I connected with another guy, and he was all into nature and herbs and all this kind of stuff. And he was into. I was doing. I think at that time it was more of the Kemetic spirituality and E5. I was researching all of that, and he was into that too. That wasn't it. We end up same thing. We weren't really in a relationship, but when we end up like breaking it off, we both cried. Like he was in the car crying, and I was crying. And then I had to take this whole hiatus and
Yeah.
leave. I think I flew out to a friend. I flew out to California, and I went for California for a week, and I was hanging out with a friend, and I just had to go to Venice Beach and just clear my mind and just release it. And that's when I came back and I let it all go. And I remember my partner I'm with now, he had been calling me, calling me, calling me. I was like, no, I won't go nowhere. No, I won't go out. And I had met him like before I had left. I'm like, no, I won't go out. And I just told him the truth. I'm like, I was just in a relationship, I broke up. My mom won't go out with nobody. I was just get and I've been hardcore with him throughout the process, but he was very persistent. He was like, what? But I'm just like, I don't want to do that. And so you'll go through. You may not, but I'm just saying, I'm just giving myself as an example of what could possibly happen. Because I went through those states of awakening with someone. I had someone that brought me into awakening of self, of who I was, which was amazing. And I think like a year later, he asked me, where was I on my journey? Even though we had broke up bad and we both were crying, he still cared about where I was moving forward on my journey.
Mhm.
A year later after we broke up. And then going through those other two partnerships, I kind of reflected on, I always do a reflection on self. One biggest thing of what you have to do, whether you looking at a spiritual partnership, wanting to get into a spiritual partnership, or you think you're in a spiritual partnership, you have to see where you are right now with yourself.
Mhm.
Where am I with self? Am I comfortable with self? Am I okay with where I am? Am I loving on myself the way I should? Am I on my spiritual walk the way that I should? Because wherever you are, I promise you, wherever you are at this point is what you'll attract.
Mhm.
Is what you'll attract. You'll attract that, or maybe slightly above or slightly above. It's gonna be somewhere in here. Is wherever frequency you on, it's gonna be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of the ones, because it's not quite there. And as you elevate and you grow, then your partner, it will choose to either elevate or grow with you or not.
Right.
But it'll happen because you don't have any attachments
Yeah.
and you've already surrendered. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it don't even matter.
Yeah. What gives both of you guys the strength to have this virtual patience and also to be able to let go and not have your hands on the wheel? Woo. What gives me the strength is I had to learn how to trust myself. I had to learn how to trust my intuition, trust what I was receiving, um, not only from my intuition, but also from the spiritual team that works with my partner. I had to learn how to trust those. Um, I also had to learn that keeping my hands on the wheel doesn't mean that I know how to drive. Like that don't mean that I know where I'm going. That don't mean that I can see ahead of me. Um, so I had to learn a level of self trust to trust myself enough to be able to surrender to a higher power, higher than me, that can see where I'm going, that knows where I'm going, that knows. I had to learn how to trust myself in order to be able to trust this process. Um, I had to go through that level where you think that you lost your mind and you crazy, and you have all of these things going on in your head. And I had to also learn that to release and let go of what I think is supposed to be, what I think is supposed to look like. Like I had to, it required from me learning myself and learning that I didn't trust myself, because I receive stuff all day, but that don't mean that I trust what I'm receiving, so I had to learn how to trust myself and my spiritual team to be able to be open enough to be able to receive this relationship. It's not an easy process, and you are going to feel um you are going to feel like um that fear of the unknown, because you don't really, like, who's to say that tomorrow all of this changes. You just never know. So that's what I was thinking in my head when I'm like, well, tomorrow it's probably gonna be different. Like y'all saying this now, but tomorrow I'm gonna receive something, or I'm gonna come into contact with my partner, and I'm gonna see the 3D and see something different. I had to believe that there is something more than what I was seeing in the 3D, and I had to trust that process of learning that there is something more, that there is more layers to this, that there is that this is possible. Because I mean, coming from somebody that's never had any type of spiritual relationship, not to my knowledge anyway, I had to like learn, like completely forget everything that I knew before, on how things are supposed to look, how things are supposed to go. Like I didn't even know that much. Like I was completely naive to this whole process. It took a level of like trust in trial and tribulation, trial and error, and just being brought back to myself over and over and over again, to where I was like, okay, fine, I'm off the hamster wheel. I believe, I really do trust it this time. And like after I gained that level of trust within myself, everything started to unveil itself like a lotus flower. Like it was so beautiful, and it was the most calming feeling that I had ever received when in this partnership before. It was like damn, now I'm open. Like, and I was so closed off because I was doubting it, and I had this fear, and I had this, like, I'm thinking like this cannot be possible. Like these people have got to be crazy. I'm crazy. Like it was a whole thing with me because I had never experienced it before. So once I did finally get to the point where I could like be like, okay, I trust this process. I cannot be this crazy. I cannot be this naive. I cannot be this, like, I just like I can I trust myself now to where I'm just like, okay, yeah, that happens. Like now it's like not, it's not is it doesn't put me in that place of now I have a level of security. I'll say that. I have a level of security. I have receipts. I have actual things to back up what I have experienced with this cosmic partnership. So it's like now it's either you trust yourself or you don't. And you still get back on that hamster wheel and you keep on going, not going nowhere, just in place. Or you can trust and believe that this is possible, that this is happening, and you can pay attention to, like your level of awareness is correct. Like your intuition is telling you correct. His higher self is speaking to you through everything. So it's like I had to trust myself first before I could actually trust this process and what I was actually going through at that time. And it took a couple of years. Like it was not an easy process because I had been so programmed to think that, it, and to not even have one spiritual experience before this one, that was another thing too. That took a toll on me to where I was just like this cannot be what is really going on. Like this man cannot reach me, this he's all the way over there. That's what I was thinking in my mind. Like, how can he reach me and he's all the way over there? Like, that's the part I needed the explanation for. Like, I needed the explanation on how this warlock is doing the things that he's doing. Like, how is this happening? Like, I didn't have nobody that I watched had clear, because they all were given information according to their level of awareness. So it was like I kept hitting that door. So I had to go within myself and be like, okay. And I went to a meditation, and in the meditation, um um having a talk with myself, and I'm just like, do you really think that you're crazy? Do you really think that all of these people are just telling lies and they haven't gone through these types of experiences? Do you, like, I had to ask myself real deal questions to get myself to the point where I was actually trusting. And not only was I was asking for confirmation as well. So I was receiving that confirmation along with learning how to trust the process. Like, it took a lot of patience. I'm not gonna lie. It took a lot. Um, and it took a lot to get my hands off of that wheel, because you want to take control of the situation, because you feel like you have, like, how it's supposed to go, even if you don't. You feel like you know where you're going. You feel like, you're not understanding that this is here to help you, not hurt you in any type of way.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, for me, patience, like I said before, patience started with self for me. So before it even gets into anybody else around me. It started with within me. I know one of my lessons for me, or one of the things I have to deal with that I'm constantly working on in this realm is anxiety. So, I'm one, and I learned this when I was a little girl because I had to go to a gastroenterologist when I was a little girl. My parents took me everywhere. They didn't know what was wrong. I wasn't used to going to school with white people. It was a lot of things. Like I had been at home when my mom kept me at home where I ain't go no preschool or nothing. And then I go to school and I'm around people and I'm just like, oh, and it hit me. Like I told y'all before, everything always hit me in my gut. So one of the things I know I always had to work on was my anxiety. So because of that anxiety, it will have me to just let go. Like I had to learn meditative practices in order to release anxiety. So within those practices, it helped me gain a level of patience because I had to be patient with myself. Because it's not, if anybody out there that has dealt with any level of anxiety, this is something similar to what people deal with depression. It's not something that just goes away. You just
Yeah,
fling it away if you want to fling it away. Like this is
yeah,
something that has to be worked on,
yeah,
just like patience has to be worked on. So
yeah.
that was just like when we go into doing rituals, when we going into doing things on a consistent reprogramming, it's something that has to be done over and over and over. So when we talk about patience, I know for me, that's not something I say, hey, I want patience. Ta-da.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that. It's like, hey, I want patience. Let me try with traffic and just being patient in traffic with myself and with those people who are around me. Oh, I want to be patient. Let me be patient with my coworkers. Even though I may want to say something, I refuse to say it because I know that'll trigger them. So I'll be patient in that process. So patience starts with those little things and then they build up till you embody it. Then you come an embodiment of what patience is, so you'll be able to exude that out to your partner. So then you can be like, hey, yeah, hands off the wheel, because I've been practicing patience with myself. And that's just everything that we go through in this spiritual journey with reprogramming. Excuse me. We have to continue to reprogram and make it ritualistic in order for us to embody it so it can be like second nature. And then we can always show patience and love to our partner.
Mm.
Excuse me, my allergies.
Yeah. Patience has been some one of the hardest things for me to just get a grasp on. Well, it was one of the hardest things for me to get a grasp on when I first started my spiritual journey, and learning, even with me having children, I learned a level of patience with children, because I never did expect to have 5 children, but um, all of my children are like the store what they call them, stair steppers. And so I had to learn patience on a whole nother level. Like I just got thrown into patience, and like I hadn't never experienced a level of patience. I had never been successful with patience until I started having children, and even that was hard. So to when I came into contact with my cosmic partner, that I already had a level of patience. I had more patience in relationships than I did with anything else. But I was in the middle of a transformation, just like he was in the middle of a transformation. So um, I started to realize that our patience was very thin with each other at first. Like it was very thin, but eventually we just evolved. And sometimes my patience still kind of wears thin on certain things. We're human, but there are a lot of a lot of what is it called, benefits from um going through those experiences and learning that patience and surrender throughout the partnership. And it does, I think that patience and surrender gives you strength. Like the patience and that is what actually is not only with the trust, but it also is giving you strength to, because if you've ever been in a fight, you know how tired you are after a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever been into a physical altercation, you know how much energy that takes from you. Even if you've been in a verbal argument, you know how much energy it takes from you to be in that be in that energy. So this is learning those two key things basically have given me those three key things, including trust, has really given me a lot of strength that I didn't have before. Like now I can take it. There's certain, before that I couldn't take none of that stuff. Like I was very sensitive to a lot of things. So this helped me to even take that type of weight off of my shoulders as well.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you, Master Creator.
I know you
Those are
asked some
some
great
great questions.
questions.
Great questions.
Yes.
And we getting ready to wrap it up. It's been an hour and 30 and some change. Anything else you want to share, Galactic Honey?
Um, no, not really.
No. Okay. Well, I would say the patience and surrender, like what I said before, you have to release fear. The biggest part of having patience and getting to a state of surrendering is releasing that fear that you have to control, that you don't have enough patience for that other person who you are in a partnership with. So even though, like I learned this just weeks ago, like I have to be patient with the process of where the relationship is going,
Mm,
how my partner is elevating, where he may feel, he may not always, feel the same way day to day. It's different. And relationships are created for us to elevate. Any type of relationship, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, cosmic partner, spiritual partners, mommy, daddy, grandmama, granddaddy, all of these experiences and relationships are for elevation. So
yeah,
you'll learn patience through love gives you patience. I feel like the love gives you a state of wanting to have more patience for that individual because you get to see yourself within them. It's a reflection.
yeah,
And then you get to a state of surrendering and then just letting go. And then allowing, especially when you're a higher consciousness level, you can allow. You're in a state of allowing because you know that everything has already been pre-designed by yourself before you even got into a physical form. So you should be in a state of allowing. Know that if you surrender over to, your higher self or source or whoever that you call on, that you know that everything is aligned and predestined for you. So that's what I feel.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah. I
we
agree.
are wrapping it up, y'all, tonight. Um, Feel free, join us every Friday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 EST. Um, well, follow us on Witches and Warlocks on YouTube, please. We are growing that channel so soon. When that channel grows, for those who are interested, it'll be aired just on the Witches and Warlocks channel, because all of these conversations are strictly witches and warlock conversations.
Yes. We enjoyed you guys. And thank you for tuning in.
All right.
What should we do? Like, no.
Peace.
Bye bye.